I am standing on a plywood floor in front of an aluminum wall inside of a storage unit in Santa Monica, California, where I have just put everything that I own, save what fits in these two bags right here, into storage number 502, because I am about to begin the journey of a lifetime. I am about to spend a gypsy-esque year traveling the world, staying with friends, family, Airbnb, hotels, doing the work that I normally do, consulting, teaching, speaking, but with an extra mission added in, which is figuring out, discovering how is it that we might empower ourselves in this uncertain economy. And as I'm sitting there contemplating what this year is going to look like, I reach out, I lock the master lock, I bound down the stairs of the storage unit, and I leap into my freedom chariot, my Jeep, and I head up the Pacific Coast Highway. It is a quintessential California day. The sun is shining, the sky is blue, the wind is coming in the window. This is what the future of work is supposed to feel like. It's freedom, it's adventure, it's possibility, it's opportunity, until I hit a literal roadblock. I pull the Jeep over, I get out to figure out what's going on, and apparently there's been a landslide. Now my first thought is, but I have a Jeep. Like, that's what this is for, let me test her out, but there was no amount of convincing that was gonna make that happen. The second thing I thought was, oh my God, what if this is a sign? Like, what if I should just turn back around, put all my stuff in storage, go back to my apartment life as it was before? But then I remembered something that I learned early on in my career, which has stuck with me for such a long time, which is between a known that sucks or that isn't working very well and an unknown with some potential, you always got to go for the potential. So with that in mind, I leapt back up into the Jeep, turn around, head down the highway to the detour. And as I'm heading down the road, I'm reflecting back to what got me into this in the first place. I was sitting in a conference room in Midtown Manhattan a few years ago, the vice president of human resources for Dow Jones and the Wall Street Journal, and I'm sitting across a candidate interviewing them for a role that I have open. And this conversation is ending like so many of them that I have had, which is more or less like, Joe, you're amazing, you can do the job that I have to offer you, but what in the heck are you doing talking to me about this job when you're so clearly passionate about something else? And this conversation had happened so many times in my career all over the world, Brazil, Russia, China, the US, all over Europe, and from the C-suite all the way down to the interns. And I began to look into the numbers behind it, and it turns out that in the US, 68% of people, and that number aggregates up globally to 87% of people, are disengaged or highly disengaged at work, which I read as bored to miserable or worse. It is bonkers. More than half of us spend more than half of our waking hours doing something that is making us unhappy or bored or miserable or worse. This is nuts. Now, in the spirit of stuff that I don't want you to know about me, I was one of those people who wasn't as engaged as I could have been in my work, so I decided to quit the corporate world in late 2013 to create a career that was more fulfilling for me and then to coach others into doing the same. And over the last couple of years, coaching, teaching, speaking, consulting for companies, I've begun to notice a confluence of events which really provides the context for this question, how might we empower success in the uncertainty of this economy? And that confluence of events is the following. First, there's the advent of technology. So there's a study out of Oxford, more than 47% of jobs in the United States are going to be taken over by robots or computerized in the next coming years. Now, this isn't all doom and gloom, because according to Accenture, $8 trillion in economic value is going to be created because of this, but what it does mean is that work and how we think about work is going to shift. The second piece of this is the workforce. We read the newspaper, we hear a lot, oh, the baby boomers are retiring and the millennials are coming in and we can't figure out what to do with them. So that's there. And there are two other factors here that are raising questions like, what is work? What does success mean? What is a career? What's a job? And these are, first, the trend toward contract work. So in Europe, since 2010, more than 50% of the jobs that have been created are contract or freelance work. And this isn't just temporary stuff. We're talking medical doctors, we're talking senior executives. So this is really disrupting what's going on. And then there's the phenomenally exciting idea that in the next 5 to 7 years, 3 billion people who have never had access to the internet, the educational opportunities that it provides, and the entrepreneurial opportunities that it provides are coming online. We have no idea what this landscape looks like, and there's a ton of opportunity hiding here. And then the third thing is the economy. So on average, since 1946, every 5 years, there's been a crash. Now, this is normal, it's cyclical, but our last big one was 2008. So depending on which economist you talk to, we're a couple of months to a couple of years out, but this is going to happen. So all of these three things together raise questions about work that I want to solve so that I can help all of us create amazingness for ourselves. So it's within this context that I start out on this journey, and there I've learned a lot as I've been traveling. Today's day 149. I'm going to share three of the main things with you so that you can walk out the door with a tool set to help you empower your own success. The first one is mindset, and it's the distinction between being captive to the circumstances around me or the captain of your destiny. Now, day 47, I board a plane in Los Angeles, California. I fly 3,000 miles to Miami, Florida. I walk out of the plane, I walk up to the rental car counter, and you see this bag here, it's heavy, there's a lot of stuff in here. I got a year on the road. And I'm looking for my wallet so I can get my driver's license out, and I'm looking, and I'm getting closer to the bottom of the bag, and there's no wallet, and I'm getting closer to the bottom of the bag, and there is no wallet, and I get to the bottom of the bag, and there is no wallet. This is day 47 of a year of travel. I have no driver's license, I have no money, I have no credit cards. I am asking myself, what did I do to my life? Why did I do this? What am I doing? And I sit down and cry. I mean, I didn't know what to do. I'm sitting there, and then I realized that no amount of wishing or crying or hoping was going to make the wallet appear. So I stood up and said, okay, given this, what do I want to create? So I get on the phone, I call a friend who lives in Miami, find myself a place to stay. He says, get yourself here, I'll pick you up, you can stay with me, I'll lend you money until I go on to my next destination, South by Southwest. Phenomenal, right? So for the moment that I did, I sat there and I let the circumstances control what was happening, but then I made the decision that I was going to see what I could create. And that's going to be a critical skill for us as the economy continues and as the workforce continues to shift around. The second piece is education, and I could talk to you for hours. I've been interviewing people all over the world about what's going on in education, but there are three things that I want to share with you. The first one is we really need to understand what industries are in ascension and what industries are in decline. So day 35, I'm in Whistler, Canada. Tony Robbins is putting on a conference on finance for a group of about 150 of us. And we're debating what's happening in the world of mechanization and artificial intelligence, and the subject of self-driving trucks come up. Now, these already exist, so it's just a matter of time before the more than 3 million truckers in the United States are out of a job. So if I were in trucking right now, I would seriously be thinking about what might be coming next. And if I'm in an industry that's ancillary to the truck driving industry, I would also be thinking about how my business model might be shifting. It's not right or wrong, it's not good or bad, but if we can get out in front of it, then we can create amazingness. And then of course, if you're thinking about being a truck driver, you may want to think about spending a few years in school and doing that as if we know that this is what the trend is that's coming. So understand what's coming up, understand what's going down. The second piece is a critical role of entrepreneurship. So as I mentioned this trend in contract work, more and more of us, even if we don't want to create billion-dollar unicorns, we're going to have to understand how to market what we sell, what sales looks like, what finance looks like, what raising money looks like, and we're going to have to acquire a taste for risk that many of us maybe don't have right now. And entrepreneurship is a perfect way to do that. Day 85, I'm in Chicago, Illinois to give a talk. I stopped by 1871, the vibrant entrepreneurial space there, to speak with the CEO of the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. This is us, actually, in front of a really cool art installation. And they are creating programs for young kids to do incubators, so to grow small businesses. They bring in high school students 2 days a week to teach them the fundamentals of business and entrepreneurship. These are the kinds of programs and training that are going to help us be successful. And then there's a third piece of education, which is the institutions themselves. Schools moving away from traditional 8 to 3, sit in a desk, get talked at, go home, do some homework, into bubbling life design centers. Day 19, I'm at Stanford, which is experimenting with some cool stuff in this space. They've actually brought in folks from the design school into the career services center to help people not just get a job, but really design a life that's going to be fulfilling for them. And the third piece of this is collaboration. So before, business was very transactional. I give you X, you give me something of equal value in return for X, and we go our separate ways. But with so much chaos swirling around out here, we're going to have to come together to find creative solutions. So institutionally, competitors are going to have to start working together. Day 91, I'm invited by the Dean of the Business School of Yale University to come and watch a Deans and Directors meeting. For the last 5 years, more than 20 of the Deans and Directors from the world's top business schools are coming together to discuss not only management education, but what's the future of business and how might we work together. So folks who you think might be collaborating and fighting are actually coming together to create solutions. And then on the individual level, this is day 146 a couple of days ago. Every morning I am on a call with a mastermind group, one of whom is here tonight, so I'm so glad you're here. In a mastermind group because each of us individually is growing our businesses, but what we do together is we bring best practices into the room. And we actually work together to create joint ventures and build business for ourselves. So collaboration is going to be increasingly more important. So that's mindset, it is education, and it is collaboration. Now, we're here. This is day 141. We are at the very frontier of the future of work. We are at the precipice of what's happening. You're all here with me. And I invite you to do a couple of things. First, understand the distinction between a known that sucks or that isn't working and an unknown with some potential. Let's go for the potential. The second thing is that we can allow ourselves to be buffeted around by what's happening outside of us, or we can step into the capstan chair and ask the effective question, given all of this, what do we want to create? And this is going to require, if you decide to come on this adventure with me, a certain degree of resilience, a certain spirit of adventure, and I will offer you this one piece of advice for the love of God. This is day 71. Please do not forget your wallet anywhere. Thank you.